Hey everyone, Hiawatha Productions here. Welcome back to another video. So we're gonna keep continuing the trend of doing reviews. This one's also from Oxford, and this time around it is not a wagon, but it is a brake fan. It is their GWR Toad brake fan. I believe it's I forget how many tons it is, but it's the four-wheel brake fan. Like the plank wagons, I've had this model for quite some time now, and now I've finally gotten around to actually reviewing it. It is the pre-weathered version, weathered in Wales, and I picked this one up. Well, I didn't pick it up. I got it as a birthday present, and it was ordered from Rails of Sheffield. A link to Rails of Sheffield's website will be put in the description of this video. But yeah, I'm actually very excited to look at this one. It was the first high detail brake fan that I had gotten in my collection. I've gotten a lot of use out of it, running it with my one and only goods engine, the Oxford Rail J27. And now's the time to finally get a much closer look at it, see what kind of detail it has, and then I will present my final thoughts on it at the end of the video. So without further ado, we're going to get the camera reset and we'll go ahead and unbox it and take a closer look. I'll see you in just a moment. All right, camera's been reset, so we're going to go ahead and take this model out of its box. Up here is the product code. Nice to see my camera's actually focusing this time around. It is OR76TOB002W. Like I mentioned before, I've had this model for quite some time now. I got it as a gift for my birthday. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it in terms of actually acquiring it. We're going to set the box over to the side here and take a look at it. Now, this is an absolutely gorgeous model. Oxford Rail did an absolutely fantastic job with it. So we're going to start looking at it from this side here. It's pretty much identical on the other side. But as you can see, it is weathered. I don't know whether or not Rails does the weathering or if they have a separate company that does it that's located in Wales and they'll send the models over to them. But all the same, they did an absolutely fantastic job weathering this model up. It looks very nice, not too grimy, but still grimy enough to make it look like it's gotten a lot of use put out of it, just as a brake fan should. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get stuck into the review. So up along here, you can see it says Acton RU, so this would have been located in Acton Yard. Then up over here, it says GW Great Western. This is the 16-ton variant of the Toad brake fan. And there's its running number. I believe the handrails are wire handrails. They're not plastic, so they're very good quality. Even this one right here is, I think that might be metal. Actually, it's a very finely detailed piece, but all of this is separately fitted. There's no molded parts or anything like that. Even the lamp iron right here is a separately fitted piece, which is absolutely good. Like, it's really, really nice to see. I like it when manufacturers will have separately fitted details like lamp irons and whatnot on their rolling stock and not charge, an obscene price for it like some other people do. Bachmann, we're looking at you. Helgen, you're a close second. Anyways, I'm going to move the hook out of the way. So if you see any particles or anything like that on the model, that's very likely dust. Like I said, I've had this model for a while now, but I've done my best to take very good care of it, make sure it stays in excellent condition. Up here, you can see the lamp iron that I mentioned just a moment ago. You can see we have riveting up along the buffer beam and the outer framework. My apologies for the camera coming in and out of focus. I don't know what's causing that. Come on. You were fine a moment ago. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Um, as you can see, there's a little reflection there inside the little area here where the brake handle is. We do have glazed windows in the little compartment up there, which is really good to see. It's not open, it's not completely sealed off with plastic. We do have actual glazed windows. I definitely really like that detail. Up over here, you can see all the fittings. There's the brake handle, and then there's these two tanks as well as a little platform. I'm not sure what it would be used for. The best guess I have is probably weight. Yeah, that's about as good of a guess as, I can provide for it. Let's see what else is there. We'll look at the other side here. We have more glazed windows. Very, very nice. Separately fitted lamp iron. We have all the riveting detail on that side as well. And over on this side, it's basically identical to the side we were just looking at a moment ago. Wire handrails, separately fitted lamp irons, etc., etc. I'm not seeing anything wrong with the model. I don't know how well you can see that, but there is a very tiny glue mark on this lamp iron right here. But it's hardly noticeable, especially because of the weathering job. However, if you were to buy this model stock, then that definitely would be noticeable. So I am going to have to dock half a point for that. That is something that I feel like, could have been checked prior to the model actually being put out. But that's the only one that I've seen. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to take away too many points from that. Finally, let's look at the underside of the model. It's pretty bare bones, all things considered, on the chassis right here. But if we look over towards the axles, we can see we have all of these different rods and piping to represent all the brake rigging and stuff. We do have NEM tension lock couplings that go underneath the axle right here, underneath the brake rigging on the model. So it's not taking up a huge amount of space. If you were to remove this, then there would be no signs of the socket for the actual NEM pocket to go into, which is very, very nice. I know that a lot of people, when buying 00 scale models, sometimes don't like using the NEM tension locks. So having a model that discreetly hides the area where the whole assembly, the pocket here, is put into place, that's very, very nice to see. A lot of times that can be fairly noticeable if you're looking at the model up close. But that is not the case with this model right here. I completely skipped over this, but here's the footboard on it. I believe it may be plastic, just like the rest of the model. It's not cold to the touch, and it is a little bit bendable, but it's very nice and sturdy. Then the rods holding it in place are equally as sturdy. And then we have a small little step right here that is also another separately fitted piece up where this wire handrail is, which I can only assume this is the little doorway to actually get into the compartment. Then quickly looking over here at the roof, you can see all the weathering that they have on the top of the model. I'm not entirely sure what it would be like. Obviously, this is smoke from the chimney inside of it. But as for the rest of it, I can only assume that this is soot and grime that would build up over time, and then it's kind of washed off to the sides from things like rain and snow and whatnot. And then everywhere else on the outside of the model is just general soot from wear and tear, a little bit of brown weathering pattern to represent dust and mud. So, yeah. Oh, I completely missed over this. Definitely did a great job with weathering. If I missed this part, but if you look right here, you can see a little builder's plate up along the frame of the model. I only just barely missed that because the weathering powder kind of obscures it a little bit, but despite that, it is actually still legible, which is really good to see. This is supposed to be a more moderate to heavy weathered model instead of super heavy. The builder's plate on the other side of the model is a little bit harder to see because they put little extra weathering powder and weathering paint and whatnot up on this side. But if you were looking at it under a microscope, then you would probably be able to see it a little bit better. So yeah, I don't really have that much else to say about the model, to be completely and totally honest. Trying to look around. So I don't know how well you can see that, but there's some white flakes in there. I believe those are sockets for the handrails to go into. I'm gonna see if it's more visible on the other side. If you look right there just behind the brake handle, then you can see two little white dots. I believe those are the holes that the handrails sockets are supposed to go into. Generally speaking, that would be hidden while the models are running, and you could probably just paint over it. But even still, I personally feel that they probably could have done a better job trying to cover that up, maybe by, going over with a little bit of paint or something like that. But on the flip side, we do have wood planking in the little walkway up over there, which is very good to see. It's not a flat surface. There is actual wood paneling. So yeah, definitely a lot of good things about this model, but there are still a couple little minor things, here and there that I feel like they could have done a better job with. But all things considered, this is looking to be a very excellent model. And now I'm very excited to see how well it runs on the tracks. So I'm going to cut the camera off, gonna get everything down on my little circuit of track on the floor of my room all set up. We're gonna do a rolling test on the brake fan, and as soon as that's done, we're gonna get some running shots of it. And once that's done, we'll come back up over here and I will share my final thoughts on the model. I will see you guys down on the floor in just a moment. All right, we're down onto the floor for the rolling test. Once again, apologies for the shaky camera work. One of these days I will have a better setup for this. So yeah, you're just gonna have to bear with me for a little bit longer. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So we've got the brake fan down onto the track. I'm gonna give it a little shove up this way for the slight uphill section, and we're gonna see if it'll roll back some. As you can see, it does roll back, so that shows some pretty promising free rolling characteristics, especially since that the uphill section for this is not really all that steep, all things considered. So we're gonna give it a little shove down that way. Still going. As you can see, it does slow down pretty slowly, all things considered. We're gonna push it back up this way. Up the curve. Yeah, very, very nice free rolling characteristics there. So I say for free rolling, this one's definitely a lot better than the two tank wagons we reviewed in the last review video. So yeah, that's really all I have left to say on that. I'm gonna get this brake fan attached to a train with the Bachmann Class 5, and we're gonna get some running shots of this model on a train. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy that portion of the video. Well, everyone, I think that's going to be about it for today's video. So I'm just going to give my final thoughts on the model. I hope you enjoyed the running session, by the way. So all in all, I think that the 16-ton towed brake fan by Oxford Rail deserves a very good score of a 9 out of 10. Honestly, I would have given this model a 10 out of 10 had it not been for two issues. First was obviously the glue mark that I found on the handrails. Again, that isn't really something that should be an issue with models that are supposed to be as a high standard as this one. This is supposed to be a high fidelity model. I personally feel that things like glue marks or any other defect like that should be things that are caught out while they're doing quality control checks with the models. The weathering definitely did help to hide it a little bit, but even then I was still able to notice it regardless. And the second thing has to do with the handrail sockets inside of the little walkway area. I forget what it's called. But yeah, the ends of the handrails that are supposed to attach to the bodywork of this model should not be visible at any point. It's one thing if it's in this compartment up in here where you literally can't see into it, but if it's an area like here up on the little balcony, they should be invisible or non-existent as far as I'm concerned. But despite that, I feel that the model itself is good value for money. It runs very nicely on the tracks. It had absolutely no issues going around my track layout, even though it's just a whole bunch of Bachmann Easy track that I set up on the floor in less than 2 minutes. So yeah, very good score, all things considered. I can very highly recommend this model. I will put a link to Rails of Sheffield's website in the description, as well as the link to my Instagram page if you want to see what I post on there every so often. But I think that's going to be about it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section telling me what kind of content you want to see on the channel. And if you have any critiques about the ways that I make my videos, maybe you have suggestions for some ways that I can improve the content that I put out on this channel, then please feel free to leave a comment and leave your suggestions down there. And thank you all very much for 285 subscribers. Let's see if we can get to 300 subs before April. With all that being said, this is Hiawatha Productions signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.